Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Tuesday. It's January the 7th. This will be our chart lesson for today. And I saw this a couple of different ways. It looks more like a spiking channel. This is the way I played it, is this being the channel with a median line in it. So in other words, it spiked up and then it went into the channel. But you could have drawn your trend line right off the lows, and that would have given you basically the same look, except it really gets you the same place. It gives you the same look. It's a little bit different. You still get your break and then your couple of legs to a new high, but on this one you get the spike, you get the channel up, then you get the break, and then prices actually moved on up and to make a retest attempt, but couldn't here. Um, and this really could have been the channel here with this being the break and then a couple of legs up. So, but either way you saw that, it could have gotten you to the same place for the most part. I'm going to take this one off just so it's not so cluttered, but this was the way I played it, the spiking channel. And you might have even, there's even one other way you could have seen it here. You might have got your channel right across here like so, right across those closes, but that still gets you to the same place, and that's very, very similar to starting off these lows down here. So, there's a couple different ways, and it just shows you don't have to get it exactly the same. Uh, there's no exactly right, although you got to be close. But either way you saw that, you still came to the same conclusion. You might have been a little bit, if you played it off of these lows down here, this reversal might have been a little bit more clear. And in that case, you might have taken one of these earlier shorts, but that's the only way. I still think it'd be really risky taking this short because everything's been above the EMA, and we really don't get below it till right here and test it again. So that was the first time I felt it was safe to go short right there, because we really get the trend line off those first couple of bounces there. It was tempting to take this one, but I just didn't, there's not a second entry long yet that's failed. There's not really a good trap. There's a possibility that it ticks lower and turns up. So this was the first time I really felt it was safe to go short here. But let's talk about the trades real quick that I did see. There weren't a lot again today. It was a nice strong trend to up, but it was over within the first hour of trading, and that was about it. So there just wasn't a whole lot going on. Um, Actually, if you were still trading, you might have been interested in this short. I think it's still a little risky. There's a little congestion here. We had this little channel working up, but we did get a close outside and then a move to a new high and then the sell off. And that is a second entry short. There are two legs up there. So if you were still trading after lunch during the lunch hour and you saw that one, that's a possibility. You know, it was a surprise to see it move down that fast. So you probably weren't expecting that, but that's the way the best trades are. You take them, you can't worry about if they're going to be great moves or just a scalp. All you're trying to do is get a scalp out of it, but then you get a whole lot more because you took the trade. So you can't be worrying about what it might do or might not do. Just take the trades, and sometimes you get surprised, like this one right here. You're in this trading range and you think it's a bounce off this low, but does have an upward bias, so you just think we're probably going back to the high, and next thing you know, it's taken off on a nice strong trend. So you don't know, you just have to take the trade. But let's talk about what we did see, and we'll go from there. So when I came in, we were in this trading range. Had been in it for quite a while, and there wasn't much happening. But we did have two legs up. Notice the low there, first leg. This is your first leg up, then your little two-legged correction down, and then the second leg up. So we had two legs up, then we went into this trading range, and we had a little failed second entry long here that failed on the breakout, really made a perfect double top across there, as you can see, and then turned down. And so if it's a little more aggressive because we did trade up into this, but it's no doubt this is a trading range, and so this was a good setup. If you shorted right there, easy trade, and then it bounces off the low, and when it did that, you could have gone long right in here. You you really almost wanted to wait on this bar. But when we broke above that one, what I did was drop the limit order in. It did come back and fill it, and then we went higher. I didn't know if it would go higher than that, but I figured I'd get enough to get the scalp out, which got an easy scalp. But any runners would have been safe here. So if you caught this trade, any runners were safe, and you could have ridden this all the way to the high today. So nice setup there. A lot of times you'll get a trap here, but there was no, it is still somewhat of a trap because by this time this had moved up here. Notice all those matching lows, closes and all around there, and it broke just a little bit lower and it bounced right off the EMA. But I believe we got the most touches and closes right there, so that's where I moved it. And I actually moved this down lower, but at the time when this trade set up, this was actually, I had it right across there. And that does tend to look a little better right there. So that's what I would call the highs on that little trading range right there. But we got a new low here because this low is lower than these two lows. And so that's a new low right there. And with that new low, then you get a first entry short and then a second entry short. And so this was a failed second entry short that turned into a trap. And so it was a trap when it broke above this bar right here. So you could have had a stop sitting there. It kind of got hung up for a few minutes and it looked a little iffy. But if you didn't let them shake you out and you kept your stop should have been right down here below the signal bar or at the worst below that one. And as long as you kept your stop there, this moved on through and went higher. But I liked it because it was a trap. It's also a breakout pullback long. And, you know, you tested this high. The main thing is you broke out and you came back and tested this high twice and it failed and then went higher. So he might have got shaken out there. And if you did, not much you could do. If you had this median line, you might have re-entered right here, but by that time you had so many overlapping bars that I wouldn't recommend entering there, at least not unless you waited on the break and then dropped a limit order in, and you could have gotten filled all the way back to right there where the line is now, about 1830 and a quarter. And then it went on higher. And then you make a new high here, a two-legged pullback to the median line, the EMA, and it bounces right off of it. You had to ride back this little bit of pull back too, but then you get a second entry long right there on another bounce, and notice everything's still closing above that, so you got another chance to enter there. Again, you might have gotten shaken out in here, but this is almost kind of a repeat pattern of this right here, and then it shoots up for one more move. And that was pretty much it for today, except for one more short. And the reason I like this one, again, you got a new high here. You're coming down first entry long, pull back second entry long. It fails. You got a sure channel right there, a little tight channel. This is one where I'd probably use a limit order. But even if you use a stop, it got enough for your scalp. And then that was it. And I pretty much had called it a day. You know, we just kept chopping around here and got hung up in this stuff. But if you were still trading, there's a chance to get short right here. And then you might have had another chance to get long right here late in the afternoon. I'll go ahead and mark it since we're here and we didn't have many trades to talk about. And notice that's just a two-legged pullback. Again, to the EMA, it looks similar to this pattern over here. But we're still looking for a retest, so I thought we'd probably make a new high here, but we didn't. But it was an easy scalp and would have worked. And then there was another long trap here, but that's almost 3 o'clock, and it's just way too late, so I'm not even going to talk about that. But that's what I saw today. Again, not a lot of trades. I saw this as a scalping channel, but again, you could have seen the trend line up through here. Actually, it was more like right across these closes here, and then you might have even just got one right off of these two swings, because that's kind of a swing, a scalp up, and maybe you could call that the scalping channel. But a good channel that's or a trend that's trending that's healthy is usually about 45 degrees, and you can see that's about 45 degrees there. And if you put this one on there, it's way too steep. Even if you go right there, it's still too steep. I mean, it doesn't mean you can't get a trend that long, but I mean that steep, but it's not going to last very long. It's not going to be very healthy, and there's a good chance of you getting trapped out of it as well. The other way that I saw it possibly was right up through here like so, and you can see that catches the bounce there and then the break and then the move to a new high and then sell off. So who's to say which one of those is right? I'm not saying that mine's right and these others are wrong, but this was the best fit to me because this fit real well, and this is what I was seeing at the time. I kind of played with the others, but I like this one the best. Um, and I did mean to talk about this little area right here. Let's go ahead and mark it in the lavender color because I did mean to talk about this. It was real tempting to go long right there, and I'll tell you why I didn't like it. But let me just move that out of the way. Um, if it would have turned down, notice how it broke lower there, but then it tried to go higher and it got stuck. And it couldn't go above this bar, and this bar was inside this bar, and this one is mostly overlapping that one. So by the time this bar formed and we got a break ahead of it, we had 1, 2, 3, 4 overlapping bars. This one didn't close on its high, couldn't get above this bar. It just wasn't a very good setup. It doesn't look like a rejection of prices down here. It looks like they were accepting prices below the EMA. And it could have been that this is not even a spike in, or not, I was sorry, let me rephrase it. It could be that this is not even a median line. This might actually be the spike up in the channel right here, and we got the break. So that was another thought I had in my mind that made me a little bit leery of this. But there's enough reasons not to go along there. But if you did go along there, when it turned and closed on its low here, I would have exited immediately. And I mean, you're probably trapped there then. Look at that reversal bar. And you might have even considered going short there, but I think it was too risky because there's always a chance it ticks one tick lower and then turns and goes higher again. So I just didn't like going long or short. You really just had to sit tight there. So I'm going to mark that in lavender for that reason. And that's kind of no man's land. And then that's kind of the same thing you get really right in here and even over into this area right here. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that too. And really that whole area up through there, just not any reason to go long there, but there's no short set up either until possibly right here, because then you get the little break of this little channel, the new high, and then it sells off. So and that's pretty much it for today. We're not, we're getting some nice moves, but we're not getting a lot of setups. The volume still seems to be a little bit low. We hadn't got back into the full swing of trading yet, I don't think, in the new year. So, but that's going to be it for me today. I did put a new article in the premium section, a new lesson in the premium section for any of you that are members. So check that out when you get a chance. And otherwise, I'm going to wrap it up for the day. Just trying to think. It seems like there was something else I want to discuss, but I can't remember what it was. Maybe I'm just feeling like we just wasn't much to talk about, and it's because there weren't a lot of real good trades today. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and wrap this one up. I'll be back to do it again tomorrow. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.